I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, if you can show me examples in history, recent or in the past, of groups and, or people who said Hitler did nothing wrong, where they were not Nazis, then I will give you that point. So please provide some examples. And they just like fucked off at that point. Because who else ever said Hitler did nothing wrong but Nazis? I can think of no examples. And can you? I can't. Oh, maybe they have some.
This sort of also draws in the false equivalencies I sort of mentioned. I don't know which ones I mentioned to you, but I often get asked then, should we be allowed to punch communists, or should we be allowed to punch Muslims, for example? Those are two sort of responses I hear very often thrown out, and I'd like to tackle both those quickly if possible.
Sure.
I'll tackle the religious one first. First of all, if we're talking about Islam, the core doctrine, of course, yes, it is terrible. I acknowledge that. Look at my channel. At the moment, I'm putting out a 1-to-1 ratio on videos on Christianity and Islam. I'm not
Islamophobia.
I'm not completely ignorant of that. But the fact is, I understand that the majority of the Muslims who are Muslim do not know what the Quran says. Many of them can recite it, but they don't actually understand the Arabic. They don't actually understand the message. And those that do understand it, they do this wonderful thing, which we also see in Christians, in which they have all these excuses to just sort of turn away from it. It's a sort of diffusion that's gone over time. As the religion has crept along, it's branched out, and people haven't bothered to learn what the scripture says, which I think is a brilliant thing because they don't act upon it. But then it means that when someone says I'm a Muslim, you don't know what they actually believe. No more than when someone says I'm a Christian, you know what they actually believe. You may have some vague understanding of this general area. I believe in Allah, I believe in Jesus, but the finer details, because of this diffusion, this dilution that's gone on, you can't assume that the person is in support of the genocide, the rape, all of this, etc., any more than you can of a Christian. That's just the fact of dilution. If a Muslim was to say, kill all the atheists to like an apostate or someone, and the apostate was to take a swing, I would not feel any worse. If it was, for example, Hamza Sortsius, who I've known has gone on, I think it was the Magic Sandwich Show, and talked about how beheading was okay because it was painless. This is the beheading of the apostate, the ex-Muslim. If they said that to someone and someone had taken a swing at them, I would not feel any worse, because they have clarified that they want this genocide. They're okay with this genocide. They're okay with this practice. Someone saying they're a Muslim does not give you that any more than someone saying I'm Christian. When it comes to communism, the difference there is communism had a manifesto. Nazi fascism never had that in exact, unless you count, of course, Mein Kampf. But what I mean is, you look at the Communist Manifesto, and you look, it has some general ideals of equality, destroying the alienation in the workplace, all of these sorts of things, which can look very intriguing, but then you don't see the correlation necessarily with the flavors. Communism doesn't work when applied, that's agreeable. But you can see how someone can agree with the ideological tenets and want that, but not agree with, say, Stalinism, Maoism. So again, you don't get that necessarily, I'm a communist, therefore I agree with Stalinism or Maoism. When someone says they're a Nazi, the only example of Nazi fascism we really have in the entire history is Nazi Germany. And there's not a person in the West who does not know what happened, the atrocities that happened in Auschwitz, for example. This is something very clear. When you start identifying with those ideologies, when you start spouting that Hitler was a brilliant person, had brilliant ideas, did nothing wrong, you are very clearly stating that either you agree with the genocide that happened, or you just want to pretend the genocide never happened, or that the genocide was the Jews' fault. That's what you are stating very clearly. There's no ambiguity to be had there that exists within these other examples.
There's a historical context that you're dealing with.